tell you a story of a woman. She had a dream, a crazy one, some said. Every day she would fight for it. And guess what? Rain, storms, laughters and doubts, but she never stopped. They called her crazy, told her she would never make it. And just when it seemed all was lost, after years of nothingness, all of a sudden, victory like never seen before. Do you know who this woman is? This woman is you, if you learn the secret of the bamboo tree. This Friday at 3 p.m. We are women. We are brave, strong, capable, unique. We are women to women.
Good afternoon, South Africa. Good afternoon to our viewers from all around the globe. Our neighboring countries, East Africa, we welcome you to Springs in South Africa. And we have dedicated the month of September to learn important lessons that are taught by Mother Nature. So this is episode number 4, but I really would like to encourage you to visit the previous episodes if you missed one of them, because we spoke about the butterfly effect, we spoke about Don't Look Up and climate change. And today we have a very important lesson. I would say it's one of the most important lessons that we have to draw for our Christian life, for our Christian journey. Today we are going to learn from the Chinese bamboo tree. So let us watch some of the peculiar characteristics of this tree.
Have you heard the story of the Chinese bamboo tree? Well, here's a bit about it. When planting a Chinese bamboo tree from the seed, it requires, like all plants, water, sunshine, good soil, and constant care. But even if you do all of that, nothing will sprout for the first year, or the second year, or the third. By then, most people might give up on it and move on, and the seed dies. But if you keep watering and caring for that seed, in the 5th year, the tree will sprout. In a 6-week period, the Chinese bamboo tree grows to a staggering 27 meters tall. The tree has been measured to grow 122 centimeters in a 24-hour period and can reach a maximum growth rate of 99 centimeters per hour. It is possible to actually see a bamboo tree growing in front of your eyes. The bamboo tree is a member of the grass family. It is a colony plant, so it uses energy from an existing plant to produce more plants and expand the root structure. The new plants will grow in the same manner, making it the most renewable plant because of its ability to grow at a fast rate. The benefits of the bamboo tree once it has sprouted are endless. Here are some. The bamboo tree is one of the hardest materials in the world, despite of how it looks. The fibers of the bamboo tree have natural antibacterial properties, making them great material for making clothes and for dressing wounds, since the bamboo material stops the growth of bacteria. Those are some of the facts about the extraordinary Chinese bamboo tree. But the metaphor here is pretty obvious: patience, care, and not giving up. Now, let's head back to the studio.
It's amazing to think that after 5 years of long wait, what we are going to call today foundation, once it breaks through the soil, in exactly 5 weeks, it reaches 27 meters. Isn't that amazing? And the lesson is, there is no growth if we don't work in the foundation. However, to set a foundation, it really takes time. So foundation and time are the lessons of today. Shall we start?
So I would say that from the promo that our viewers just saw and hearing, details and things about the bamboo tree, there's a lot that we can take from it as lessons for our personal development. And just like the tree, it takes so long for it to root itself before it starts growing out. And I think as human beings, as women especially, we all want to grow. We all want to mature. We all want to achieve so much and, reach our goals and be proud of the work that we have done, possibly even leave a legacy. But we also know that for all of those wonderful things to happen, life really gets difficult and complicated at times. So I think the main lesson from this tree, from the Chinese bamboo, is that we should not give up. There is no reason for us to give up. We should persevere. If it can take 5 years for this tree to root itself without the person watering and fertilizing, seeing any result, how many of us have given up on things because we didn't get the results that we wanted as quickly as we thought we would get them? How many of us have, thought that maybe we were not good enough because, things are not happening the way that we wanted them to happen? How many of us have actually, stopped investing in ourselves because, things are not happening the way that we want? Another characteristic that I found about the Chinese bamboo is that it is said to be the most renewable plant that actually exists. From the moment that it is harvested, like cut from above the ground, it starts growing again immediately. And I can't help but think about how many people say, no, I don't want friends anymore because maybe a friend in the past disappointed you and suddenly you have shut yourself off from the world, from everyone else, because that happened to you. How many people say, no, I don't want to get married, no, it's fine, I'll be alone. I don't want anything to do with men, with relationships, because they were disappointed in the past. Or even worse, mistakes that we make, because we will make mistakes. We will make wrong choices. We will say the wrong things. How many people have given up on themselves and even label themselves in a wrong way, speak negatively about themselves just because of the mistakes that they made? And yet with this tree, we see that from the moment that it's harvested, it grows again. It doesn't waste time. When you spoke about the 27 meters that it grows
amazing
in such a quick time, why are we still holding on? Why do we sometimes hold on to the mistakes that we made and we are not allowing ourselves to say, you know what, maybe I made the right choice, but this did not work out. What can I try again, having learned these lessons to do something different? Or maybe, I had this friend, they disappointed me, this relationship didn't work out. Where did I go wrong? How did I react perhaps in a wrong way? Or what are the red flags that I now need to look out for because I have learned my lesson, but I continue to grow. I continue to invest in myself. So I really think when it comes to personal development, this tree really gives us a lot that we can reflect on and stop being stagnant. And, it's easy to say, oh, no, I do this because that and that happened to me. But now I'm stuck and that thing it's not happening anymore. But I'm still stuck to what happened 5 years ago when that could be an opportunity for me to grow, learn lessons, and do something different. Now I have experience of what to look out for. So yeah, personal development in this tree is a perfect synergy.
I am a fan of the bamboo tree. I even promised to bring mine here, but then it would be too big and it would cover my friends. But there is something very unbelievable that happened. I have this, what for us, for house decoration, it's called the Fortune bamboo tree. It's a smaller version and it's more decorative than the big trees we saw in our promo. However, it happened exactly the same. For some reason, and I have it for 4 years, and I named her Youngling. Yes, and she got a bug. It got a bug. I call her she. I can't call it. She got a bug. And I had to be chopping. It was this high in the vase with water, and I had to be chopping. And I had just the roots of the foundation and a little bit of the stem like this. And it's growing again. I didn't bring them, but I'm going to post now a photo of my bamboo trees. And it's really the fact. Once I got rid of that bug, because of course it stays in Park Station with us, and the bugs got to it, but it is renewing and it's growing again. And of course I have the sisters there that are much bigger now. And that is a fact.
And another thing, as you spoke about the foundation, how we learn about proper foundation, firm foundation from the bamboo tree. Having proper foundation is very important because you get to know yourself. You get to develop yourself, as Butumelo has spoken. You get to be strong as a person when you have a firm foundation. You are not easily swayed by the things of this world. You are not easily swayed by the influences of this world because you know who you are. You know how firm your foundation is. A lot of people do not have firm foundations. And unlike the bamboo tree, you know, when there's a wind, it bends, but it doesn't break. But a lot of people, when they come across problems, but because they do not have a proper foundation, they break. And they will not be able to rebuild themselves again because they don't have the proper foundation. Having a firm foundation is really important in our lives. And as we had a program about intentional living, knowing our values, knowing who we are, knowing what to fight for in the future. What kind of a future do you want to have? What kind of a life do you want to have? Without a proper foundation, you won't be able to do all those things. You won't be able to have a proper future because your foundation it's not proper. In life, in everything, you need proper foundation. When building a house, you need a strong foundation in order for the house to last for a very long time. And with this Chinese bamboo tree, God is teaching us that having a firm foundation is really important because that's when you'll be able to live intentionally. That's when you'll be able to stick to your values, to stick to your principles, to stick to your standards, and you won't be swayed by anything. You won't be taken left and right because of everything that is going on. You'll be able to have integrity, be one person. Wherever you are, with whichever group you are, in the church, at home, at work, you will be this one person and not have multiple split personalities because of the firm foundation that you have.
And of course, once you've got this foundation, it makes much easier to plan a better future because now you are aware of your priorities. You don't go after everything as once we were young and we were mesmerized by every opportunity and we gave ourselves to every purpose that we found ahead of us. Once you have that foundation, you know what you want and you plan to achieve what you want and what you need. But I have a question just to bring them to the understanding of what is foundation. We need to set many foundations in life, personal foundations, but which other areas do we need to set foundations?
So I think the first place is within family. And how do we establish that? It is through communication and respect. Because in order for that household to stand, people have to be able to understand and know that their views are respected by others and that there's also a clear communication whereby people know that there isn't a dictatorship, but their input also matters within that household.
And of course, the parents need to establish the ground rules. Otherwise, it will be disparity in their house. Which other area?
We also need to establish the foundation in their financial life, in their career. And one of the things that I believe is when you do the work, not just because you want to receive the money that comes from that work, but because you love and you are dedicated in doing that. So the foundation is more than how much you are going to be receiving the money from your career, but also for your goals and your objectives in that field.
I think that it explains very well when we try to explain to people the calling of God to do the work of God on the altar, that being a pastor's wife is just more than marrying a man who seems to be a pastor. You need to have a purpose of your own, a foundation of your own, so that you can be a pastor's wife, because you're marrying the altar, not necessarily only the one you love. Huh?
And I think we can't leave out the need for foundation in your personal life.
I think it's beginning.
Yes, because if you don't have clear values, if you don't have clear beliefs, if you don't know who you are, you're not self-aware, it becomes very tricky even to try and achieve all the other areas. So this is something that often we want to look over. We want to focus on getting what is around to achieve what we want. However, if we do that and we're not clear about who we are, what we stand for, what we will not compromise, then even when we achieve all of those things, they can become a curse in our lives. They bring sorrows instead of bringing joy, because they can sway us. Tammy spoke about not being swayed. They can sway us from side to side because they end up being the thing that we run after, not realizing that they compromise who we are. So that's very important for you to have a clear foundation in your own life in terms of who you are, what you believe in, and what you stand for. And no matter how enticing an opportunity looks, if it's against who you are and what you believe in, then you will be content to not run after it because you know that it's going to compromise what you stand for.
And having a foundation with God, that's one, it's very important, because to develop a strong relationship with someone, you need a strong foundation. And it's the same with God. To have a strong relationship with God, you need to have a firm foundation, a strong foundation. And that means trusting God. Trusting God is something that a lot of people say, I trust God, but they do not trust in his plans. They do not trust in his word or in his direction. So when God says, go there, many people are like, well, are you sure? Because, there doesn't look so good. There is not as green as I would like it to be. So a lot of people, they do say that they trust God, but they don't, and it's because they don't have a proper foundation. When you have a strong relationship with God, when you have a strong foundation with God, you trust him no matter what. Whichever direction he takes you, you trust that he knows what he's doing, and that is by having a proper foundation with God, developing that trust, developing that relationship.
And all of that, you need to agree with me right now. As for the bamboo tree, as in your life, it needs time. For the bamboo tree to grow so fast, 27 meters, it needed 5 years to establish foundation. So, time to know yourself. That's the beginning. It does not happen overnight.
And there are a few questions that you need to ask yourself to know if you know yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm
Let us do the test
yeah,
now.
comparing with the farmer, for them to sow the seed of the Chinese bamboo tree, they need to know it will take just 5 years. I believe those around who would see that farmer watering and taking care and seeing nothing coming.
I think I would give up.
Yeah, 1 year and 2 years. If they don't know the seed and the final big destination, so they will give up. But if you know yourself, do you know your trades? Do you know your weaknesses? Do you know what you can accept and what you will never accept? And in life, we need to have it very clear, because if we don't know where we are going as well. We normally say we have goals, we have dreams, but are you working on yourself to arrive there? Simple as, I remember in a relationship, my husband is someone very active. So I would never accept to have someone by my side who would be so calm. So I know my limits. I can't live with someone like this. So it's different. You work with different kind of people, but then after you say bye-bye and you go home and everything's fine. But when you are going to share life with the person, you need to know, I need to know my limits. So if you don't know, and that makes us to have time, you need this time for yourself. I cannot ask Precious, what do you think about me? What do you think about my trade?
You can, but it's not real. She's not inside of you.
Because she's going just to say what she sees from the outside. And many questions are answered inside. And it's a hard moment, because sometimes you are going to find that many times I found that I was not that good, and I needed to work on those traits. I needed to work on my weaknesses, and that makes the person to be who she is, because each and every day, and it's a continuously working. You are every day doing that, because I'm not the same of last time. As much the Chinese bamboo tree, it's cut. There are things you will need to cut in your life sometimes, and you need to allow it to grow. Again, other things that makes you to be better, and you just renew yourself with all the foundations that we spoke here.
And that doesn't happen overnight. To know yourself, it really takes time. Because here and there, we are confronted with new things, with new challenges. And you sometimes get yourself surprised by the way you react. And you don't recognize your action. You don't recognize your word. Fact is, it was already inside of you. But you never stopped to deal with that. You never stopped to think about that. So you need time to know yourself. But also, you need time to mature.
Yes, and I think maturity is something that a lot of people love to confuse with age. It has nothing to do with age, but it has to do with you, going back to what Silmara said, knowing yourself. Because once I begin to know myself, I will start understanding that there are things that I cannot change in the world. And often when one is not matured, we want that whatever pace I am on, or whatever journey or discovery I am on, be it even in faith, I am expecting everybody else to be on the same wavelength. But when we are matured, we understand that it is your change, it is my change, it is my different view. And how do I hold myself in this space? You're not going to be affected by someone else's behavior, by someone else's actions. Even if the world can fall apart, when one is matured, they are able to remain in their space and continue with what they have set out to do. Now, when we are not matured, we want to do a lot of things. We don't set our priorities in order. And that's also something that I remember I had to learn, that there will be moments where I need to step back and ask myself, what is important at this time? So you find a lot of people that say, I want to get married, I want to have a career, I want to have a house, I want to have children, and all of that. And they get flustered in that mode of wanting to get all of that, but forget that when you take time to mature, you'll be able to first understand that, wait, maybe I need to first establish myself financially first. And then I can start thinking of getting married. And when we're married and we're okay as a couple, instead of just getting married and bam, following year, we have our bundle of joy. No, how about we get to know each other first, and then we can start now expanding our family. So that is something that when we start maturing, we start stepping back. I think that's what maturity also helps with. You're able to step out of a situation, analyze it, and then come back with a clear perspective that will not just benefit you, but everybody else around you as well.
And we need to come into terms to the fact that we don't mature if we don't face challenges. Because everyone wants to grow and be mature and make right decisions and have proper priorities. However, not everyone understands that you need to be challenged in different ways so that you mature. If you don't go through a hardship, you are not going to grow in that process to understand how it works, what you need to change about yourself, how to make better choices, how to heal broken hearts and move on. And that is maturity. You will never going to have maturity in any area of your life without challenges. Having a life of a bed of roses, everything set up for you, will not give you maturity. There is one more point, that we need to have time. And time for God to mold us. But that, Boitumelo will explore more about just after our break. For now, it's not a homework, it's a break work. Just think about your maturity, your foundation, and the areas of your life you need to work on. We are going to share you the tools for that just after our break.
Woza la, uchesu, woza, 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 woza la.
Welcome back. Now we are going to continue developing the topic of today, and this is why I said I think it's one of the most important points to consider in our Christian journey, because now we are going to talk about time, how much God needs time to mold us.
That's very important, and I think anyone who has been in a journey of faith for any amount of time, you know that this is something that is very important, that we need to allow ourselves to be molded by God. And as you said, it really takes a long time for that to happen. So,
If ever.
yes, and I think the most important thing, first thing that I would like to mention is that God will always show us what we need to change. And it's a partnership that we need to have with Him in order to accept what He is showing us that we need to change, but also for us to be willing to do the work that is required for that molding to take place. So it's very painful. All of us as human beings, we would like to think of us, as Mama said, we would like to think of ourselves as good. We would like to think of ourselves as wonderful, that we could do it, and, God trusts in me. God has entrusted this and this in me. But when God shows you that you are not pleasing Him, we become disappointed in ourselves. Sometimes we can be sad, we can be embarrassed, we can be disappointed with ourselves that why did I not do the right thing? Why did I react in that way? But when we are stubborn and we don't accept His molding, sometimes it leads to us being embarrassed in order for our eyes to be open that, because He's always speaking. He has been speaking, but I've been ignoring Him because I thought I am okay. I thought I'm doing well. And I may be doing well in my own eyes, but whom am I serving? Am I serving myself or am I serving God? So I need to be good in His eyes. Another factor with molding is that many times we want to be molded to what we want to be. And you can't be, if I'm the one who's molding a pot of clay, I'm going to mold it according to how I want it to be shaped. In the same way, God molds us according to how He wants us to be, how He needs us to be for His purpose on this world to be fulfilled. But we clash with Him because God is saying, no, I need you, I want to mold you in that way. But you're like, no, but my talent is this, I can do that. And that's not what He wants. And that's where the difficulty comes in, because He will prune. Molding is pruning. He has a pair of shears that He's, cutting bits and bits there. And that is very painful, mostly because we are made in His image. We think we know best. We think we know what we should be doing. Sometimes we think we have experience that gives us the right to, overlook this and overlook that because, I've been in this journey for this long. And that doesn't work. And to show that it takes time for God to mold us, He will mold us for as long as we are alive. When He has done with us, then He will take us, because then we will be molded. We will be that pot of clay that is in the shape that He wants us to be. And He will take us from this world to be with Him. But as long as we wake up in the morning, we need to be ready to understand that day there could be more pruning happening. It could be painful. And it doesn't have to be excruciatingly painful if when He shows us, we accept and we start working on it. But it becomes sometimes bad because we are stubborn and we want to do our own way. So it will take our lifetime. You will never get to a point. If you're at a point where you think you're okay, God has molded you and now you are perfect, then you are actually falling in your faith and you're actually getting lost.
I think you become limiting God.
Yes, you limit Him because what He has in mind for us is so great that our small minds cannot conceptualize. We cannot understand it. We see bits and pieces there, and many times it only makes sense after the fact. You're like, this is what God was teaching me. And if we could just have accepted in that moment, we would have had a better experience with Him. So as long as we are alive, He is going to mold us. That is as long as He needs to continue molding us.
It's not the Bible verse of today, but I can't let it go without mentioning Philippians 1. He who has started the good work in you will finish in due time if Jesus doesn't come back. It's there. Check in your Bible, Philippians 1. So we need time for God's molding. But sometimes this molding is a lifetime.
And the pruning season, it's painful. I believe when Miss Marsha was sharing the example that she had to cut a little bit.
I was
your
very
Chinese-
frustrated.
Your Chinese bamboo tree, you were saying, but how is it really going to work sometimes? God will show us things that we need to change, and it will be painful, but we need to trust in Him.
Mostly.
Most of the time. And it's easy if we ask, how do I know if I know myself? When we ask a person, what you need to change? If she doesn't know herself, she will never have a quick answer for that. She will need to reflect. That shows she needs time to know herself still. But it's not so difficult when you ask, what do you think your friend should change? Then you quick judge, you quick answer your husband, your family. So when you need to be pruned by God, allow Him to do that. It will be painful, but just trust that will be for the best. Because now Miss Marsha see a beautiful and a fresh bamboo tree.
It's coming, it's coming. You saw the photo, it's coming, but
it will
I
be-
know it will remain.
Even better than the previous one
Yeah.
that got sick along the way. So sometimes we need this time, most of the time. God needs to prune us. We look to ourselves, we don't know what is going to happen, but the best is to come if we work in the foundation.
I'm thinking of the pruning process because a lot of people, as we're talking of pruning, it's so easy to gravitate towards hard moments. But I think of us, those who are part of our congregation, we always have the pruning moments. It's every service that we participate in and every purpose of faith that we have. And within that purpose of faith, that is the moment where God is showing you something that you need to work on. However, we end up having that clash, as Dumi spoke of, between God trying to mold us when we start thinking, oh no, but I've done this purpose before. I don't think I need to do this. Oh no, I've participated in that service. Now I'm okay. I don't need to participate in it anymore. But we are forgetting that as human beings, we evolve every time. So I'm thinking of, even in a marriage, a lot of people, there's a moment in their marriages where they always like to come back and say, it's like, I don't know him. We don't understand each other. That's because every relationship within 7 years, there is a shift and a change. So I always think if in a marriage it's like that, imagine with God, because God is supreme. And we live in a world, a few shows ago, we were speaking about climate change. With climate change, there are things and reactions that we have where God has to step in and tell you, calm down. Do not run after the rush of the world. Everybody is worried. Everybody is going crazy. I think the funniest one is, how about we all move to another planet? Now, I'm thinking, how many Christians, because they're not allowing themselves to be molded by God, they're shifting away from the pruning process, and they're thinking, maybe I should start investing in that. Maybe I should also start thinking of life out of planet Earth. But when you know God and you have made time for God, you know the promise that He has for you, that although to the world we might look crazy saying our investment is not here, you are actually looking forward to what's coming. So I think our viewers also need to think that even in good moments, we are being pruned, because our reactions, our behaviors, how you handle that blessing says a lot
About your condition.
about who I am, because it's easy to be humble when I lose everything. I lose everything and I'm on my own. Of course, it's a humbling state. But when we are blessed, so you have that car, you have that position, you have the family that looks like a dream family. How do you react to other people that don't have? And in that moment, when you look down on those people, you are being pruned, because God is like, hey, why are you acting that way? So a lot of them, I think, when it gets to the hard part where you're pushed against the wall, it's because you've ignored the gentle pruning process. So you wanted now to go for the real chop down in order for you to wake up. So I think even when you always have to go to that state, it says a lot about your maturity as well. Because when we mature, there are moments where God doesn't need to go and take drastic steps in order for you to hear
We're
Him.
quick to hear. We're quick to listen when we're quick to act.
And another thing I could add is consistency and patience. That is very important, because we live in a world where comparison is the order of the day. Like, we always have to compare ourselves to other people. So when you don't have that consistency and that patience, just because Dumelo is now at this level of her life, then I feel like, we are the same age, we are friends, then we should be, we started church the same time, I should be the same level that she's in. But I don't know how much time she put on on her foundation with God, on her relationship with God. A lot of people are not consistent. So I can just imagine when the bamboo tree is being planted, the seed is being planted, maybe year 3 or year 4, the farmer gets tired and doesn't water the seed anymore, it's not going to grow. It doesn't matter how much time you put, but if towards the end you give up, it's not going to work. It's not going to grow. So a lot of people think that, just because my friends are at this level in life, then I should also be like that. I don't know how consistent they are. A lot of people want perfection, but they don't want consistency. Consistency is everything. Patience is everything. Being consistent in our relationship with God, it's very important, because there are people in the church who've been in the church or who've been in the walk of faith for 20 years. But then on the last year, maybe before God takes them, then they give up, because they're like, I've been in this faith for 20 years and, it seems like nothing has been happening. But I'm sure in 20 years, a lot has been happening. It's just that they want what other people have. They are not ready for what God has for them. And they have been missing the blessings that God has been putting in their lives. So in the last year, at the very last minute, they give up and they lose their salvation. So consistency, especially in our foundation in relationship with God, it's very important. As Dumelo said, it's a lifetime of work. It takes a lifetime, and it's forever. For as long as we are still here on earth, God will still keep working on us. We just need to be consistent and show up every single day, and God will do his part when we show up and we do our part as well.
So now you understand how foundation and time walk hand in hand. When you think about a construction, of course, lately, the techniques have developed amazingly, and it's difficult to relate to the old style of construction, but all had to start with one stone. A very big, very strong stone that was called the cornerstone or the angle stone. They would sit that stone as the base, and only after that they would build the place, the house, the construction they were doing. So I'm going to talk to you about who is the cornerstone for us to build the foundation in our faith. We are going to read together Ephesians chapter 2 from verse 9 to 21. Jesus Christ is our cornerstone. Now, therefore, you are no longer strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints and the members of the household of God. I think to this part of verse, all of us relate to. Before we were strangers, we were foreigners to the things of God. But now, after accepting Jesus Christ and leaving our journey, starting our journey of faith, we no longer foreigners. We all belong to this family. Many say universal family, but I would say the family of God. And it continues reading. Having been built on the foundation of the apostles and prophets, Jesus Christ himself being the chief cornerstone, in whom the whole building, being fitted together, grows into a holy temple in the Lord. When we think about so many divisions and disputes in churches, in communities, we can now understand why. Because we must be built on the chief cornerstone that is Jesus Christ. And of course, being built there, as it says here, the whole building fitted together. When we have disputes among us, It's because a few of us might not have been built upon Jesus. What would be to have the foundation of your life on Jesus Christ? Whatever you're going to do, whatever you're going to think, whatever you're going to prioritize, you would make yourself this question: what my Lord and Savior would do in my place? How Jesus wants me to resolve this situation? What Jesus think about this friendship? That is the part of molding. When we invest in learning from the cornerstone, the foundation, how he wants me to live my life, I am investing, I'm building, and I am growing as one. Whenever we start having our own opinions, our own purpose, our own mindset, we're drifting away from that foundation. We are allowing other stones to be part of this construction. And we are not looking at the example, the testimony, the direction, and the Word of God. However, when we shift our eyes and we plan our life and we live our life based on Jesus Christ, the cornerstone, it's almost impossible to go wrong because it's less of me, more of him. So what matters at the most is that the construction will remain to the end. We'll face storms, we'll face changes of weather, and will stand proud still. The same to your life. When we build upon Jesus Christ, we are going to have temptations, we are going to have challenges, we are going to have disagreements, but our foundation is Jesus. And we are going to keep on. We are going to remain till the end of times. We don't know right now if Jesus is coming back in 5 years, in 10 years, or if he's coming back to you or to me individually when he calls us back home. We saw many being called home during the pandemic. It doesn't necessarily matter if Jesus is coming or if he's coming for me before the end of times. What matters is my life being built upon the cornerstone. I will remain. Blessings will come, but they are not important. They are not what decide my relationship with God. What really makes me to go on is the promise of salvation. And that we can only attire when we have the foundation of living for, living through, and living in Jesus Christ, our cornerstone. This is how you build your foundation. Maybe you have not been investing much lately in your spiritual foundation. Challenges came, and you have been about trying to salvage your career, your marriage, your children, your development, and you forgot to ask God, what do you want for my life? You forgot to invest in the real foundation, the beginning of everything that is this life with Jesus Christ. We spoke about self-foundation, an inner structure, but you can only have it when first you have a relationship with God. And who knows if you have been someone who is not prioritizing your spiritual foundation, or someone who, by the temptations, by the disagreements, by the challenges of life, you have given up. Your bamboo tree was planted, the seed was there, it was growing, but you stopped watering, you stopped fertilizing. You, for a minute, thought it will never grow, and you gave up. We want to pray for you, because today it's time to start reinvesting in your foundation. Tammy, should you pray for us, please?
My Lord and my Father, I pray for each and every person that is watching right now, and they realize that they have lost all patience, that they are no longer watering the seed that you have put in them, that they are no longer fertilizing their faith as well, but they have given up. They are inside of the church, but they are just here out of duty. They might be having a uniform and they feel like they have to come all the time so that they can prove that they're in the faith, but only they know how far they are from you, because now the foundation is cracking. Some of them did not even have a proper foundation of a relationship with you. So I pray that you may strengthen this person that is watching right now, that is realizing that their foundation with you is not as strong as it needs to be, because they have been in and out of the church. They have been wavering in their faith. They have been losing contact with you. Their relationship with you is not as strong as it should be. They might be in the church for a very long time, and there are people who are coming, new people, and their lives are progressing so much. It is because they have listened to your word. You teach us, you give us so many valuable lessons through nature. Nature is something that is beautiful, and it's because nature listens to you. And that is why, my Lord, you have brought this lesson to us. If we listen to you, if we obey you, if we give you time, and if we strengthen our foundation with you, then storms will come, winds will come, turbulences will come, but it will never knock us down. But if there is no foundation, Lord, then whatever comes, no matter how small, it will put us down. How many people have been put down by a very small problem and they left their faith? So I ask you that you may strengthen this person who is watching right now, and they are wavering in their faith. They are in the church, but they are not consistent. They are in the church, my Lord, but they are not faithful to you. They are just coming to show. But I ask you right now that you may help them to rebuild their foundation with you, because I know that you are willing, you are ready, you are here for us, my Lord. You are just waiting for us to come and to ask for your help. So I ask you that you may speak to each and every person. Where do we need to strengthen our foundation? Is it in our relationship with you? Is it in our relationship with our husbands, or with children, or wherever, or even with ourselves? So I ask you, Lord, that you may take over our lives and guide us on what we should do. Be the cornerstone of our foundation. You do not waver, Lord. You are always there. You are strong. And when our foundation is on you, we will not waver, but we will be strengthened each and every day. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. So today you understood that you need time to set a foundation. And without foundation, it's just an event. This is what makes the difference between an event and a journey. Journey needs time and foundation. And we are in a journey to our salvation. So you need time and you need to work in your foundation. Springs is wonderful. I love springs because it brings renewal. It brings novelty. And next week, we are going to go for lesson number 5. So you are going to learn a 5th lesson from Mother Nature to start investing in your foundation and in your growth. Until then, God bless you all, and hope to have you back, 3 p.m. Facebook. Bye-bye.
The beautiful process of life. If you can't give up what you have, you'll never have what you want. It's all about the exchange. You can't have something new without letting go of what is old. This week on Woman to Woman, we explore another lesson from nature, where loss is gain and death is life. It's time to sprout. A bit confused? Find out more this Friday at 3 p.m.